Okay, so I just uploaded a video not even an hour ago detailing um, some of the best mods to use for Ajax and various other things. During that video, I said that the skill power modifier buffs don't really matter for Ajax because only two of his skills actually scale off of skill power to begin with, and both of those skills have very high skill power modifiers, which means you get extremely reduced returns from skill power modifier buffs versus just straight skill power buffs. So they're not worth using. The other two, his hypercube and his orbital barrier, don't scale on skill at all. They only scale on defense and HP. So there's no point in worrying about dimensional skill power buffs or skill power modifiers or anything like that. That's what I'd assumed because I actually trusted what the fucking tooltip said. I shouldn't have done that. That was my first mistake. So through sheer accident, after uploading that video where I gave some incorrect information, I decided to do some damage mitigation tests, and in order for me to make sure that it was accurate, I, trusting Orbital Barrier, used it as a control to dictate how much damage an enemy was doing and whether or not the damage, like trying to figure out what the damage mitigation cap was, because I know it's more than 80%. I just wanted to see if I could calculate what it was, but the only way for me to do that is to have an accurate reading of how much damage a boss is able to do in a controlled environment. So I figured, well, Orbital Barrier is the perfect way to test that because it's got a 100% damage return ability. Like, it reflects 100% of damage. It doesn't scale off of power or anything like that. It's just like, what? Let me just do some control tests to make 100% sure. So I removed all abilities except for defense scaling because this was a defense mitigation, or sorry, damage mitigation test. I removed all the other ones. All I had was defense buffs. It's like, okay, well, just to make sure it does scale with HP too, let me add an HP mod and see. Well, maybe if my HP is increased, will it increase its power? No, same damage, 2938, 2937, around that ballpark. No big deal. Okay, that hasn't changed. So far, so good. Tooltip's been right so far. It doesn't seem to increase damage mitigation. This seems to be the most that it's going to do. All right. Well, let me add skill power to. What the fuck? The power increased. It scales with skill power, so it has secret skill power scaling. So then my thought was, okay, well, if it secretly scales with skill power, a skill power modifier might have a dramatically increased effect. It might not. I don't know. It just depends on how this works. There's no tooltip on it. I don't know what to go on. What the fuck? It's even more powerful now. It's way more powerful now. It's twice as strong as it was before. So at this point, I'm pissed off because I've been just going about this. I could have been playing so much more aggressively, building so much more aggressively. So I maxed out, or I didn't max it out, but I increased the skill power modifier to plus 50%, and what the fuck? It's doing, it's doing way, way, way more damage than it was before. I'm pissed off. So, anyways, I decided to. I was like, well, my best average run against Pyromaniac with my standard defense-oriented builds is about 6.5 to 7 minutes. We'll say like 6:45. That's my good average when I was farming him on the solo. It's like, well, let me try this new build that's just base mods with skill power and skill power modifier, and see, is that going to increase my skill time, my kill time for him any at all? So I hooked all that up and went into the combat, and come to find out, it does actually increase it. Now, I would also like to say that this is not some secret new meta for him or anything like that. The damage reflection is very handy, it's very good, and it's a great way to maintain your damage uptime when you're reloading and things like that. It does good damage, but it's not like, this is not a game-breaking discovery, it's just a brain-breaking discovery, because there is nothing in the game. The game doesn't tell you about this. It hides this secret scaling, which is going to completely change the way I approach everything. I don't trust anything this game tells me anymore. I'm testing everything. Uh, But yeah, anyways, I run through this with the new setup because I was like, well, my orbital barrier is going to do more damage now. Everything's going to do more damage as a whole, but really, it's mostly going to be guns and orbital barrier. That's my damage output. Will this increase my total clear time by a significant amount? And it turns out it increased my clear time uh, to almost 6 minutes flat, and it probably would have been 6 minutes flat, but my fiance called me like in the middle of the fight, so there was a few seconds where I was like totally missing him because I was trying to get an answer on the phone call, and so I cleared him in 6 minutes flat, which is 30 seconds faster than I've ever cleared him before with skill power modifier. The orbital barrier saved me 30 seconds. That's not a huge deal. That's not a major uptick in clear time, but it is impressive to see that I did over 1 million damage with the orbital barrier. That's nuts. Also, making this video to clarify that I was wrong in my previous video in stating that skill power modifier doesn't matter enough with Ajax to actually build around it. You could feasibly get away with a pretty like a Thorn build. If you're familiar with Diablo, this is Ajax's versions of Thorns. It's crazy. Anyways, yep. Sorry. Here's your correct.